This is a group of wildland firefighters.
Going all the way out?
This is the main Palisades fire. So they're tasked with going up these steep hills and protecting these expensive houses from burning down.
Thousands of firefighters have come from all around the country to battle the still raging Los Angeles fires.
That felt good. We needed that.
This crew came from a prison camp.
So these are inmates in the California penal system. These guys all volunteered to come out here. And this is a major labor force for California.
Around 1,600 incarcerated people work as firefighters in California, making up as much as 15% of the state firefighting force, CAL FIRE.
That's pretty interesting. Obviously, there's been a number of reports on the LA fires. We've heard a lot of different things about some of the damage that it's been causing, insurance companies, the water levels, and now this is a new segment, which I actually haven't heard of before. So that's actually very interesting to hear that they just said 15% of basically California's firefighters are actually prisoners. And that's very interesting to think about. This is an odd form of labor that exists. And so this does seem potentially predatory, even though we haven't gotten that far into it. But depending on what the incentives are for these individuals, just knowing the title of this video, likely there's going to be many various forms of predation on these prisoners and these folks who are potentially less fortunate than others and potentially have less say and rights and power over what they do and how they do it. They did say that they volunteered, but that might not be the whole picture. There could be incentives that are here. So I know, having seen some reports on prisons, etc., some people, they can't even make phone calls to their family because they charge them money, things like that. And so maybe even if you offer these people like $1 a day, some of them might do it because maybe there's no way to get any other type of goods or even have contact with their family or their own lawyers in order to get things done. So we'll see what they have to cover on this, but it was already surprising to hear 15% of California's firefighters are prisoners, and we'll see how well these people are treated and how they're incentivized to do this.
We work 24 on, 24 off. We won't be out of here till 6, 7 tomorrow morning. I know, it's kind of surreal, you know what I mean?
This is California history down here. I mean, we're in Hollywood. It's better than being locked in a cell. We're basically free out here. Is the pay a little rough? I get $1 an hour right now, and I'm one of the highest paid guys on the crew.
Incarcerated firefighters get between $5 and $10 a day.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. And I think they just said that they're 24 on, 24 off. I assumed that meant 24 hours, but maybe they mean 24 individuals. But still, that's a lot of people who are getting paid very little. And so they're showing that you can actually make up to 10 hours a day, which is pretty insane. That individual just said it, $1 an hour, and he's the best paid individual. That definitely sounds like they're getting exploited. That sounds like basically a form of like indentured servitude of some sort, which is like we took away these people's freedom and then said, hey, you can work for a fraction of our minimum wage and what we think is reasonable to get fair labor for pay. So this is quite interesting, especially coming from what is a fairly liberal state. I would have assumed that they would have planned to treat these individuals fairly, at least in this regard. You know, $1 an hour is outrageously exploitative, and even doing like half, or at least doing like the federal minimum wage, seems like that would be fair to me. That would probably be less than what I would hope the other firefighters are earning. We'll see what else they have to share on this topic.
When they're assigned to a fire, they earn an extra $1 an hour. By contrast, a firefighter hired by CAL FIRE to do similar work ends up earning about $350 for a 24-hour shift, not including overtime.
Yeah, so again, they just clarified that's 24-hour shift. That's a huge amount of time that they're working here. And so they only get $1 extra if there's an actual fire going on. Imagine you've been incarcerated. You maybe don't have the ability to communicate with your family. You don't have the freedom to go outside whenever you want to. Who knows what other kind of conditions they're living under. And they're getting paid 2 hours at a time to go literally right into fires, risking their lives for some purpose. Hopefully, I'm sure some of these individuals are doing it out of, some sense of pride or maybe goal that they have to help the community. Obviously, it's a community that they are potentially hoping to return to, but that seems pretty insane to me. I don't know. Share what your thoughts are. Maybe you can add in the comments what each of you are thinking on this, but this is an atrocious start to this video, in my opinion.
But the bigger draw is early release. Serving in a fire crew gets time shaved off your sentence and a chance to get your record expunged.
We're here for the opportunity to reduce our time. Anything I can do to go home a day or two earlier, I'm going to be there to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That is what I was sort of assuming, is that there had to have been another way that they were incentivized to volunteer, quote unquote. That's so tough. Trying to put myself in their shoes, I would agree with that individual. If basically you're trapped in a box with very little ability to move around, do whatever you want, and this might be the only opportunity you have to potentially shave off some of that time. For some of these people, I have no idea how long their sentences are, but who knows? You could be spending years of your time in jail, and somebody says, hey, do you want to risk your life at 24-hour increments? And we'll shave some of the time off. I'm hoping that they share how much time they get shaved off for the amount of time that they spend risking their lives. But considering they only get paid $1 an hour baseline and then $2 an hour at most if they're actively risking their lives at a 24-hour span, I'm not too optimistic that it's going to be a good amount of time that they're shaving off here, but I hope otherwise.
After a 24-hour shift and then a 24-hour rest, the crew is back at work. Now, the job changes from fighting fires to helping prevent them.
This is the arduous work of just clearing this area and making sure it's safe and stopping the fires before they start. This is work that these guys do all year round. It doesn't just happen when there's wildfires.
We do this Monday through Friday. This is what we do every day, fire or not. When we talk to other groups and they're doing the same stuff we're doing, and we talk to them about how much you guys getting paid. Oh, well, we getting paid $20 an hour, or we getting paid this much a day. They be like, dang. At the end of the month, we probably make like $100. Something that somebody probably making like half a day.
Kip Ford says his time on the fire crew has been an attempt at redemption. He's in prison after being convicted of construction fraud in the aftermath of the 2018 Camp Fire in Paradise, California, a verdict he's appealed.
I have a part of my past that I'm not 100% proud of. Well, I just hope that I have did all I can to right that wrong as best I could. We were up there fighting them fires this year as a crew, as a team. The Park Fire, the Thompson Fire, the Apache Fire. But just to go to say, that's, what do they say, is karma. All I can do is move forward, and that's how I justify the day.
Well, at least kudos to these individuals who are volunteering. For whatever reason they have, they are certainly doing a good deed for their community, and they're obviously risking their lives and potentially saving lives as well. But still, I'm ending this video on a pretty tough note, in my opinion. I feel like that mostly feels like they're exploiting these prisoners to some extent. I don't know, maybe you guys can share what your thoughts are, but it's a little disappointing, especially considering, my image of California is they're very forward. They're supposed to be inclusive. They're supposed to help the people who live there. This is a place with some of the highest taxes in America. they have some progressive policies, like they have those laws for mentioning like chemicals and things like that that cause cancer. Like they seem to be like leading the way in certain areas that are supposed to be helpful to individuals who are living there. But it seems as though there's this entire segment of their population that they're exploiting and maybe like propping up the rest of their work and their safety on. I don't know, it just leaves me with sort of like a bitter taste after learning this. Maybe share what your thoughts are, but I'm a little disappointed to hear this about California being such a liberal location. I think it is nice that they're allowing individuals to go out, potentially reduce their sentences. But again, this is a very dangerous line of work for the most part, very labor intensive, and then they're paying them literally pennies on the dollar for what that would cost elsewhere. And it's such a large percentage. Like, for it to be 15% of their workforce, obviously they know that this is a primary factor. And the biggest issue that I have is that this creates a scenario where there's potentially like a conflict of interest in certain areas, which is if you incarcerate more people, then you have a cheaper workforce to then do hard labor and risk their lives for the rich people who are in your state. I don't know, maybe that's taking it too pessimistically, but that's the type of things that I worry about, which is when the same individuals who are in power have authority to imprison these folks, determine what their future will be like, and then give them a very terrible deal after they've basically sentenced them and passed judgment on them. I don't know. It's a little tough for me personally. I'm definitely challenging myself to think through it, but it does seem like a poor choice on their part. I think everything else about it seems okay, but it seems like they should be trying to do their best to treat these individuals as fairly as possible and not just take advantage of the fact that, you know, maybe they aren't being able to be let outside. Like some of these people are saying like, yeah, I'm at least outside at this point. Like these people are in a scenario where they would rather be out doing hard labor or risking their lives just to get outdoors and be able to move around with some level of freedom. I don't know, but that's tough from my perspective. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please hit like or subscribe. I'll see you around.